Good morning, this is Rabbi Shlomo First here at Yeshiva Tsama Nafshi. Here in Yerushalyim, here at HaKodesh, on HaKodesh of Yaakov number 6, we're in the Beit Knesset of Chanukah. Yeshiva is not too far from the central bus station, so we're simply located in Yerushalyim here at HaKodesh, and when you're coming, please join us, especially if you're coming from Chutz La'aretz. We'd like to help enrich your visit to Eretz Yisrael and Yerushalayim as much as possible with a good, strong background and basis in Torah, HaKodesh. Okay, let's see. Amram, would you like to read the word for us? You have it here, about 12 lines down.
My karula Rosh HaMedabrim B'chol Makom B'Teva.
Right. So the Gemara is asking a question: why is Rabbi Yehuda referred to the spokesman in all circumstances? Why is he called the spokesman, the first speaker, the major primary speaker? Why is he referred to that title? Okay.
Ditvei, because we learned Rabbi Yehuda.
Well, actually, this means that he was sitting.
Oh, they were sitting.
He was sitting.
Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon, V'yativ, Rabbi V'yativ, and then they were sitting, and then there was Yehuda, Ben Gerin, and also sitting with Rabbi Yehuda, Gabai, with them, right?
Right.
Patach Rabbi Yehuda v'Amar, Yehuda said, start. Kama na'im ma'asem shel umazo. How nice is what this nation is doing.
Right. So the Sfas Emes learns this as a bitmiyah. A question, he says, Pasuk Rabbi Yehuda v'Omer, Kama noyim ma'asem shel umazo, meaning shall we praise the works of this nation, the Romans, and say that they're doing good? Because we, as we discussed, there's an Isolosis Chanim. We're not supposed to give praises to the non-Jews.
Right.
So the question is, they ask, that's the Sfas Emes question, how can Rabbi Yehuda seemingly be praising the Goyim? So there are certain ways that it can and that be done, but the Sfas Emes is knowing Pashut that you learn this as a bitmi, as a question, and therefore you're not entering into the question at all, that you're not supposed to give praise to the non-Jews.
So Rabbi Yehuda is asking you?
He's asking a question. Common noyim ma'asem shel mazu, right? Are what they're doing good things? What they're doing, what this nation is doing, are they a good thing? Take a look what they're doing.
Tiknu Shukim, they made the
Marketplace.
Tiknu Gisharim, they made bridges. Tiknu Marchatzot, they made bathhouses. Rabbi Yossi Shata, who didn't say nothing. None of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai answered.
This could be also a raya that Rabbi Yehuda was asking a question, because you have Nana, he answered and
right.
said. And so he's not just saying, he answered and said. And it was a question that had to be answered. That also a bit of a riot to the Sfas Emes.
Rama kol ma shetiknu lo tiknu ela letzorech atzmon. Everything that they build, they fix, they did only for themselves. Tiknu shukim lo shivayim zonot. They made the markets for zonot. Machatzot le adan bahem atzman. Bathhouses so they can relax. Yesharim bridges litom meches to tax.
Just to make a point of it, they do speak about the fact that Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, when he answered, he changed the order.
Right.
First was shvukim, the marketplaces, then the merchazes, and then the Yeshiva. Rabbi Shimon answered in a different order.
Right.
We're not going to go into that now, but the fact that it is significant. Show him.
Halach.
I'll get hold of this one. We have that on the table already. Here, take this. Well, let me give you base for the Shimon ben Yochai, and we're just reviewing that. We've been doing it a few days, just finishing up. Let me get a smaller edition right now. One second.
Shimon ben Gerim, V'siper Divrei, and Rabbi repeated the story.
Now, as Rashi said,
Right.
Rashi said either that was to his Talmidim,
That's right.
or to his mother or father.
Right. So the question is, I have a question. Are they saying this to teach us that we weren't supposed to repeat a conversation like that, or they just?
So the truth is, I haven't had a chance to look, but the Chavetz Chaim in his Sfarim on Lashon Hara brings this Gemara down as an example. Now,
not the
again, now, so I haven't had a chance to look at what he says inside.
Okay.
I can't tell you how he's learning this Gemara and how he uses as a proof one way or the other. But if I have a chance, I was trying to find it. I didn't find it directly, clearly, how he was learning this Gemara. But I was told, I asked someone who was pretty expert in the Slime of the Rosh Chafetz Chaim on Lashon Hora, says the Chafetz Chaim does bring this down. So if I find that out, I'll let you know.
See, been Nishmu L'Malchut, and it got back to the government.
Right, not that he told anyone about it, but it got back, eventually got back. But like they say, they used to say, loose lips sink ships, right? You ever heard that expression?
Yes.
Amar Yehuda, Sheyale Yitale. The leaders who spoke praises, he will be written praised. Yossi Shetaka Yigal Tzipori. Yossi that didn't say a word, he's going to be excommunicated Sipori.
Exiled, banished.
Shimon Shegina Yarov. And Shimon that spoke bad, he's going to be killed.
There's a bit of a girsa whether he was supposed to be banished, exiled to Tzipori or from Tzipori. The question is Tzipori was that a Jewish community, and he's going to be banished to that place or from that place. Just mention slightly different nuances in the text.
Azahu Uvrei, him and his son ran away. Mashu be Midrash Kol Yoma, and they ran to the base Midrash all day.
So they went to the base. They ran to the base Midrash, and every day, what happened every day?
Kol Yoma Hava Meiselahu Divitu Refita the Chuza. Every day they were bringing food.
Right. Every day his his wife
would bring him
Rabbi
food.
Shimon's wife would bring him rifta bread, right, and also water, right.
Right.
That's cruza de maya. That's like a decanter of water. Ricardi and vegetables.
Ki takiv gezereta, when he became stronger, the gezerah, Amar levrei, he said to his son, Nashim datan kam, the women have red heads, alein.
Meaning they're easily persuaded, right? They're easily persuaded.
Dilma mitzarele galyalan. Forget they're going to
Harass her, maybe they'll harass her.
and she's going to divulge. I think I asked this question, but she was his daughter, or she was Bashata, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, she couldn't have been some very peasant woman
Yeah.
who just her father was.
Right. Not only that, you're talking about her husband's life is at stake.
Right.
You're talking about,
not that he didn't have that.
Alpha became he was kosher. I mean, he said, Silas Sakanish Nafashis. His life was at stake. So the question was to remain where they were, where his wife knew where they were, or to go somewhere where even his wife wouldn't know.
Okay.
Right? And then not only that, so you could also, knowing, it also could save her, because if he understood that she would divulge, right? So she would divulge, and they would come to that place and find he's not there, right? So they would come to the conclusion that he was there or ran away, right? Or maybe they would assume she was lying. I don't know, whatever. But you have to realize that the Gemara says about Chinim Mishul and Bezaria, right? That they were thrown right into the Kivshana Eish, and they were willing to go al Kiddush Hashem. But had they been tortured, had they said we're going to torture you instead, they would have given up. They would have bowed down to the cell. They would have done the Avodah Zarah. The Gemara says that to go al Kiddush Hashem one time, right? Many people are able to do that, but to face torture, unending, unknowing, who knows what could happen, psychologically, it's impossible to think. Many people, even those three great tzaddikim, are being.
What?
So it's difficult, given what you just said, to understand this for two reasons. Number one, what is this light head stuff? We're saying men also would have the same difficulty with being tortured.
Right. It was more like, first of all, it would be more likely. They'd be easier to yield. Right. I think I mentioned this, that why did the Nachash approach Chavi instead of Adam Rishon? Because the Gemara says it because of the same reason.
Nachash was lusting for her.
No, but true enough. But what did he want to do? He wanted to eliminate Adam, right? Get Adam out of the way, and then he'd have cover to himself. right? But the Gemara gives the reason that because Nashim died in college, maybe you could convince Kaaba, they have an easier time convincing Kaaba than Ovid.
But still, so what? If you have to be worried whether it was a man or a woman in the case of torture, so why even mention that? Just say she might be tortured.
Yeah.
That's one problem. The second problem is, why is he so selfish? He's only worried about himself getting caught. He's not worried about the danger to his wife. Shouldn't he say, rather than even talk about her giving in or not giving in, he should say, I'm putting her in danger. I don't want to do that.
Okay, so first question, it says mitzvah. It didn't say that they would kill her. Mitzvah would harass her. Would harass her. I mean, to actually torture her. I'm not sure. Again, you have to realize that in certain respects, the Romans, their general policy was not to, unless it was Gezer Shmad, which eventually led to the rebellion. But in general, they were happy just taking taxes from people. Right? They were just, they were interested in money, right? And then just pay your taxes and live your own lives, right? So they weren't interested. So they wouldn't really come after her. I mean, they would maybe investigate. They could do something, right? But you would have police abuse. You have interrogation and things like this, where they use all kinds of different means to get information out of people.
Right.
To what extent is another story. But and then the second question, I'm not sure if it was a question so much of selfishness. He was just facing the facts. Facing the facts that the Gezerah is getting more intense, right? And they really have to move, right? And it could be, as I said, that he was really thinking about that they would come. He was saying they most likely come after her. And she was the one that they would probably be investigating her ins and outs, because they assumed that the husband would have some type of relationship, association with his closest family members, one of them being the wife. So they would start following her, and they would probably track her down. And to resist the harassment, he was concerned. And it could be that it was Daitin Kalas that maybe the Gemara in Kesubis speaks about two types of women, the Tzniim and the Prutzim. There are those who are modest and those who are immodest, right? And the Gemara speaks there about the different attitudes that these women have, and what you have to do in taking both of these attitudes into account. So it could be, it says that the Gemara says there that it's Tzniim, those women who are modest, they might give up their lives rather than the Gemara is talking there about having relationships. The Gezerah of the Hegmon of those most likely the Hellenists, the Syrian Greeks. They had made that any woman, before she get married, she'd have to have relations with the local government, Jewish government. So a Jewish woman living with a Goyish man, so she's not necessarily usher to her husband, except she's married a Kohen, right? But so they wanted to teach the women that they should be submissive, right? Submit rather than put yourself in danger. But the Gemara was concerned about the two types of women. The women that were immodest, they would take this as a green light to get involved. And if they did get involved and do it viratzon, willingly, then they would be usher to their husbands. Right? It's only if the woman is forced into doing it, and she doesn't want to do it, then she's still permissible to the husband. Right? But the women who were the more on the loose side, so they would go ahead and do it willingly, and then they would in fact be usher to the husband. So you can't tell them to be submissive for that reason. For the other reason, you have the modest women that they would never give in under such circumstances, and they would allow themselves, they would think they have to give up their lives, right? So Noshim Daikim Kalas is not only that they have less resolve, but it could be that they don't have the full picture and determination to decide what to do in the proper context of everything. Right? So maybe it was even they would harass her. Maybe she would really put herself into danger. You could say maybe he was considered maybe putting into danger that she didn't want to put his wife in there. Maybe it could be a shot. I'm sure what he said it with all aspects, knowing his wife very well and knowing what she was capable of doing and what he was worried about. I'm sure he was worried about it. Yeah. Let's continue.
Aslo Teshuba Marata, they went and ran into a cave. Eight Charish Nisa, and Nace happened. Ivralu Charuba, a tree of carob. The Eina Dama, and a spring of water. The Evu Mishalche Minahu, and they would
take off their clothes.
They would take off Minahu. Vavu Yidbo Atzvar to him, and they used to cover themselves with sand until their necks. The Chala Kule Yoma, every single day. Garse the Eidan to Levush Mechusia.
Kol Yom Garse, the whole day they would be learning. Right. Kol Yom Garse, the whole day they would be learning. Now, the
Indan Sluye Levush Mechasayu.
Umatzli. So at the time of prayer, right, they would don their clothes, they would wear their clothes, Mechasayu, they would wear their clothes. Umatzli, and they would pray.
So they pray Shachris, or they say just at Krishma, because this was one of the things that we learned in the
Exactly, it's very much. The Tosus, I believe it's Yud Ches. Tosus says that that was Krishma.
Just Krishma, okay.
Tosus is just Krishma because of that difficulty. The Pashtus, according to the Tosus, they only because they really putter from davening.
Right.
Putter from davening, as we learned.
Right.
And, so therefore, the halacha is that they, according to the Tosus, they have to daven Krishma. If you want to take a look, that's on Yud Aleph. Excuse me, Yud Aleph, Amid Aleph. The more you have Yud Aleph, Amid Aleph. Hold your place there. Don't get lost.
Yud Aleph Aleph?
Yeah, Yud Aleph, Amid Aleph.
I don't understand the kasha because it seems that to me that you can say Kreshima covered in dirt, in the ground, can't you? So why do you have to get out and get dressed?
Oh well, no. If you lay Caesar area, you also can't say Kriyashma.
If you're,
You lay your heart can't see the area.
but they were up to their necks in dirt.
Yeah, so that's a little bit like the mikveh. It's
So
You have to make a separation, so they have to get dressed with. You have to make a separate. That's why they wear a gartel when they're done.
If you're in the okay, so there's no separation.
true, it's not okay.
No winter shirts.
You have the little toasters. It's more the big one. Then you have the small kagon, two kagons, and it's the second kagon, if I'm not mistaken. You have it there. You'll have it in Yud Aleph, Amid Aleph. In the middle of the page, Tosus, kagon, the second kagon. Up a little bit more. There, that one right there. Go ahead, Amar, got it.
Go Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai v'chaver of the Had Amar commanded Seler Rod. You have in Mate, it's Matfila, because they used to go to the time of Tefillah. Ladish Umachsei Umatzlei Hahu Matzile Hainu Krishma.
So Matzli, Tosus is saying, Matzli is referring to Kriyashma. The Kiva Eger has, it's not so question, but that's what Tosus says. Right?
Okay.
And which is the pashtus that you have to say that, because we know that he was only chayav in Kriyashma, as we learned in the halacha, right? He was putter from Tefillah.
Right, that's why.
Why is it B'chavi Rav and not Ubena?
And we're in the Tosus?
Yeah.
How was it?
People must get.
No, because that's what the Gemara is referring to. The Gemara is referring to Rabbi Yochanan's statement. That was our halacha, as a matter of fact. Our halacha was that Rabbi Yochanan mentioned who's putter from Tefillah, but he's chayiv in Kriyashma. That is Rabbi Yochanan. Right. So that's based on the Gemara. B'chavi Rav, right?
So B'chavi Rav means.
His associates, his colleagues.
Oh. It's not. I see. We're not talking about this. Okay, got it.
Yeah, no, because the son was in the cave, but Rabbi Yochanan, the halacha on Yud Aleph is referring to what Rabbi Yochanan said, that anyone who is Torah Nosoi, his Torah is his profession, like Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, V'charvei and his associates, his colleagues, they are potter from tefillah, but they're chayav in kriya. So in that, Tosha says, in light of that halacha, you have to change the text, so to speak, of this Gemara that we're learning now, that if not, solely usually means prayer. So Tosha is saying, in this case, they have to say it means kriya.
Another question.
Yeah.
Is there also an aspect in this story of punishment? That, in other words, Rabbi Yossi was exiled,
Right.
and Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai had to go live in a cave.
Okay.
Now, in the case of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, you see all these miracles, so
Right.
that complicates the question of punishment, because why were all these miracles being done?
Right.
But with Rabbi Yossi, there's no mention of anything, just that he was exiled.
Right. Because he couldn't really do anything to them. What could he do with them? Again, you see from this that the Romans had to respect moral and human decency to an extent, unless they declared it's a rebellion and it's a case of war, and then they could, bloodshed was destroyed. You read about what happened to Beitar. They wiped everybody out because they said they're rebelling. So if there's no rebelling in general, the Romans were, like I said, the Romans were very happy just to collect taxes. Be submissive. You might have to, be inscripted into their armies to fight their wars.
But I'm not talking about from perspective of the Romans, I'm talking about from the perspective of Hashem.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, like what happened was the Malchus, the Romans found out about this statement, about this conversation. So based on what they found out, they said, well, Rabbi Yehuda praised us, so he's seemingly praised us, the way it was told over at least. That's a bit of a kasha in the Slas Emesh, but okay, but that's the way they were told it over. So Rabbi Yehuda deserves to be elevated.
Right.
Rabbi Yossi, who didn't do anything, so we can we'll banish him. Okay, banish him. And Rabbi Shimon, who's critical of us, so we'll take care of him.
So would Rabbi Yossi have an understanding that I did the wrong thing, I'm being punished by Hashem for being exiled?
No, I mean again, like in terms of what the government did to him, that was what the government did. Now, why? They can all ask themselves, why weren't they privileged to have the whole meeting kept secret? Why was it eventually revealed to the government? Right.
Right.
That's obviously a HaKodesh Baruch who's doing this.
Right.
So introspection is obviously in place here, and certainly I'm sure he spent a lot of time, thinking about what happened, what occurred, and why, and what the Ashkata practice is. For sure.
But we wouldn't necessarily draw that conclusion.
Meaning when we can't level criticisms on the Amoraim and the Tanoim, it's not we're not in a position to level criticisms. I mean,
But while there's leveling criticism, there's also learning a lesson, learning a
Yeah,
lesson
no,
from a
yes.
story that
right.
tells us that somebody did something good or somebody did something bad.
Right. So if you take the three Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Shimon, so question is, what should you do? Was Rabbi Shimon right? Was Yehuda, was he wrong?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. Is the fact that this happened to them, is that teaching us that something about whether he was right or wrong?
Well, let's continue. Hold on, we're not done yet. Hold on.
Where we on?
Back
Matsu,
on
Matsu,
they
there's a little hay next
Got
to
it,
it.
yeah.
They would have the place.
Matsu v'hada mishlachem manayhu.
So you have here that what? After they davened, right? Harder they went back. Mashli Manayu. They take off. Mashli Manayu. Manayu is a reference to their clothing, right? Harder after they davened, so harder they went back, took off their clothes, right? Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Kihachi delo libulo.
Now it's explaining the Muslims why are they taking their clothes off? Kihechi delo yivila. They shouldn't get worn out. They didn't want to wear their clothes because they didn't want them to wear out. I can ask a question here. Like Hashem already made an ace for them. They have a crew, and they're getting water, right? So why couldn't the HaKodesh Baruch Hu also make a nace that their clothes shouldn't wear out, right?
Right.
So it's sort of interesting that you have here, you have like just the Klal Yisrael was in the Midbar, so they had water from the Mir and Miriam, and they had the food from the mud. And they also had, that Rashi brings down in the Sefer Devarim, that their clothes didn't get worn out, right?
Right.
So they were all, they, however, were a little bit concerned. So what we see here is they did Ishtadlis. So if and they, there's a whole question, if you see HaKodesh Baruch Hu was doing and acting towards you or a group with miracles, you have a right to assume that Hashem's going to continue doing more. Can you act in a way that's going to demand more miracles from the HaKodesh Baruch Hu? Right? In general, you're not supposed to be on a nace. Right? I'll give you an example. You have in the Beis HaMikdash, in the Mishkan, you have the Shulchan, where you had 12 loaves of bread. 12 loaves of bread. It was known, even at the time of the Beis HaMikdash, not only at the time of the Midbar with the Mishkan, that those loaves of bread would be baked on Erev Shabbos. They would be placed on the Shulchan on Shabbos itself. The old ones would be taken off, right? The new ones would be put on. The old ones that were taken off, that had been there for a week, were as warm as they were when they were first baked. A miracle. The bread should stay warm for a week. Nevertheless, when the Shulchan was designed by HaKodesh Baruch Hu and given the instructions to Moshe Rabbeinu, there were the staves, the poles that the breads would rest on. Right? These were not full poles; they were like U-shaped,
Half a pipe.
half pipes. Exactly, half pipes. Why were they half pipes? Rashi says, why were they half pipes? In order there should be air circulation, so the breads shouldn't mold. Now, think about this for a moment. The breads are warm, right? And they're warm for a whole week, so that's a miracle. At the same time, HaKodesh Baruch Hu, who's keeping the breads warm and fresh for a week, can keep the bread from molding as well. Why design the Shulchan, right, in a manner that's going to reduce the amount of miracle that has to take place? So that's really the answer. And HaKodesh Baruch was teaching a lesson, even though it's going to be a miracle occurring here. Design what you're, I'm telling you to design what you're doing in order that you shouldn't have to rely on the miracle, right? So it could be here also the same idea. They saw that miracles were taking place. Nevertheless, right, they were concerned that they shouldn't do things that would demand miracles. You don't want to, in general, you don't want to, if you have no choice, right, if there's absolutely no choice, you have to rely on a miracle. But in general, we say you're not supposed to rely on a miracle, and you're not supposed to do things that could demand miracles. But if there's no choice, then you have no choice. And there's no guarantee Hashem's going to make a miracle for you. But in general, you shouldn't do things to demand miracles.
I shouldn't worry about running in front of the street and say that Hashem's going to save you.
No, you don't do that.
How were they learning? How were they able to be learning? They were learning night and day for years.
Yes.
Did they bring Sfarim with them? Did they
There
learn
are no
from memory?
Sfarim then.
Yeah, in general, there were no Sfarim then.
That was hard.
Yeah, that was the time of the Tanoim, right? That was the time of the Tanoim, and that was before Rabbi Yehuda Nafshi. Rabbi Yehuda Nafshi was the one who was compiled the Mishnayos. Before then, even Mishnayos weren't written down. The Tanoim and Amoraim had permission to write things down in short, cryptic ways, that in case they would have something that was a Chiddush, something new, that they would not forget it, right? But as a codified, uniform type of a text, that was forbidden to write down. So everything was, everything's a transmission from the rabbi to the Talmud.
So it's all from memory. They were all the learning was from memory.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue.
V'hadar mishloche minahu.
So they would go back and take off their clothes.
Yihachi delo liblu eat for trisei shnei.
But they shouldn't get warned. Now, when was it 12 years?
Tresar Shnei, 12 years. Bemarta Windarata. Ata Eliyahu, Eliyahu came, the Kam Afichtache Dimarta, and he came to the door of the Mara, of the cave. Amar Man Leodia Le Bar Yochai, is here to announce the Bar Yochai, the meat Kesar, that the Kesar died, Vital Gazrata, and his decrees were abolished.
Okay, now, just a side question I have, why did Eliyahu only come to the mouth of the cave and not enter into the cave? You know, possibly they weren't zoited to Gilui Eliyahu, and without Gilui Eliyahu, to have Eliyahu revealed to a person is a tremendous madrega to reach, right? Apparently, Eliyahu, for one reason or another, I don't know, but he didn't come into the cave to address them directly. He stood on the outside of the cave and sort of spoke into the air and said, who's going to announce to them that the Caesar was dead and the Gezerah, the decree, has been rescinded?
It's a very hard question because in their time there was no rainbow in Yerushalyim's time.
That's furthermore we have the Chumash out open, but I want to get to that Rashi.
Right, so I'm just saying it's a hard question because on one side he was very holy and he took everybody with him. He was able to save everybody. They say he's still good today, okay. And the other side said that he does meet Eliyahu, and other people who weren't on that level do meet Eliyahu. So it's
yeah. I asked some of this question. I said, well, because the next word in the word, Nafrik, they came out. So someone wanted to say they obviously came out and they saw Eliyahu when they came out. But why Eliyahu didn't go into the cave, right, directly? Maybe they did go out. Maybe they didn't say Eliyahu. I don't know. But that's based on what the words say. Well, we know that Eliyahu didn't go into the cave, but they know that they did come out. Now, whether Eliyahu was there when they came out or not, that's conjecture.
Is it possible that there was some level of Kedusha inside the cave because of the miracles that meant that it was only for them, nobody else was allowed to go in?
That could be. That could very well be. Like I said, it was like they were receiving the things from the man. They were like getting man, and it was like the Anani covered. Perhaps you could again, possibly. So they came out. What did they see? Chaza they saw.
Chazu Inche Daka Kurabi Vizari, and he saw a person who was plowing.
Right. He was Daka. He was plowing in Zari. He was plowing and seeding.
Amar Manichem Chaye Olam Ve'osim B'Chaye Shah. He said that they are giving up Olam Haba and they're working in Olam Hazeh. Kol Makom Shenotni Meineim, wherever they would their eyes focus, Miyad Nisraf, right away they would burn it. It would be burned. Yasta Bakol V'Amralhem, a voice came out and said to him.
A voice from heaven
came out. L'charv Omi Yatzatem, you came out to destroy my word. Chizru Lema Artechem, go back to your cave. Hadur Ve'azul, they turned around, they went back. Itvu Trisar Yache, they stayed 12 months. Amr Mishpat Rishon Beginim Yud Beit Chodesh, the judgment of the wicked in Gehenna is 12 months. Yasta Bad Kol Ve'amratz Umimartchem, go out from your caves. Nafkut Kol Hecha, the Haba Mechei Rabbi Elazar, and
so Nafka they came out.
Okay, and the Rabbi Elazar focused.
Right. So call Hecha the Haba Machi Rabbi Elazar. Every place that Rabbi Elazar burned, Habu Maseh
Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon used to put it back.
He would heal it. He would repair it.
The first time. Amar Lo.
Wait, I'm lost.
Yeah.
What do you mean the first time?
They came out the first time to the cave.
Right.
Wherever they saw they were burning. Right. Then a voice came out from heaven. Right. They came out.
Most likely both of them.
Rabbi Shimon and his son.
That's right.
They were both burned.
Then they were told to go back to the cave to go back to the cave. After 12 months, they said that in Gehenna, a person is punished for 12 months. And so the voice came out, so you can go out. So Elazar, his son, used to go and he used to burn everything. And Shimon used to put it back to normal. And now that's where we are now.
Right.
Okay.
Amar lo b'ni dai le'olam ani v'ata. My son, the world can stand on just you and me.
The world is what?
The world can stand, right? Dai
Yeah,
le'olam.
meaning we don't have to destroy the world, because if there's you and me in the world, that's enough that it should exist.
That's how holy they were. Ve'ata v'hade panea de'me'ale shabbata. And
So they were going together on Erev Shabbos, right?
Vazu ahu saban davinakti trei madane asa. And there was saw somebody was carrying two bundles.
He's an elder.
An elder was
An
carrying-
elder that was carrying
Two bundles of
Hadassim.
hadassim.
So Erev Shabbos, they saw an elder and he was carrying 2 bundles of Hadassim on Erev Shabbos.
Verai ben hashmatim was running between ben hashmashut. Amrulahi hani lema lach. What is this for you? Amalu lechvot Shabbos.
They're asking, what are you doing with these Hadassim? What is Hadassim for?
So he said this is because Shabbos. V'tasik l'habach harchad. Is it enough one bundle?
What do you need 2 bundles of Hadassim? You need so many Hadassim, right? So why isn't one enough?
So he said chad keneged zachor v'chad keneged shamar. So one is because zachor, it's a zachor Shabbos, and one is for discover the Shabbos. Amar le'lebrei, he said to his son, Chazei kamachem mitzvah al Yisrael. See how cherished are the mitzvahs to Bnei Yisrael.
To the Jews. You see how cherished the beloved the mitzvahs are to the Jews?
Yatid datau.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I see that time. So when then Shimon said to his son,
it was like they relaxed. They weren't so
right. You see,
focused on
right. They're not completely oisik in olam haba, olam hazeh. They're also interested in Shabbos. They're interested in the mitzvahs. Interested in doing the mitzvahs properly and nicely. They're also interested in olam haba, obviously. So Yosef Taitaitu, they gained understanding and their minds became settled. Okay. So we'll stop in a moment, but I just wanted to point out what you mentioned on the Rashi here in Parshas Noah, the rainbow. So Rashi explains here. If you take a look here on Pasuk Yud Beis, you see Pasuk Yud Beis. It's on the previous Amud Yud Beis. It says here. Yeah, want to read that number, the Pasuk Yud Beis?
the pasuk itself.
Yeah. And then we'll take a look at the Rashi right after.
Yomer Elokim Zot Ot Habrit Asher Notim Benu V'Nechem. Hashem said, "This is the sign that I'm giving between me and you. Uvein Kol Nefesh Achayim, all the animals. Asher Tchem L'Dorot Olam, that are going to be there for generations forever."
Right. Atchem L'Doros Olam, L'Doros Olam, for generations Olam, forever. Take a look at the Rashi at the top line of the next page.
Right.
Doros Olam.
Nichtav Chaser Sheyesh Dorot
The word Doros should have 2 vavs in it.
Right.
It only has 1 vav, so that's called Niktav Chaser. It's lacking. It's written lacking. It's written lacking of vav.
I don't see any of those.
Actually, you're right. Correct.
No vav.
Yeah, right. Lacking. It's lacking of vav.
Sheyesh Dorot Shelo Huchakol. They were saying they didn't have to see the Pishas of looking the word Hayu Kumodor Shechizkiyahu, because they were perfect tzaddikim, like in the generation of Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda, Vedor Sheb Shimon Bar Yochai, the generation of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai.
Right.
They didn't see
They didn't see the rainbow. They had no necessity of seeing the rainbow, because there was never, the rainbow comes when Hashem is not pleased with us. And
I get lost. Where does it mention the rainbow?
the whole parsha is talking about the rainbow. That's the bris. That's the bris. Right? The bris of the rainbow. The rainbow is like a stopgap measure to hold back Hashem's wrath. To remember, they promised to know if He wouldn't destroy the world anymore.
Oh, it's saying the rainbow is the
Right.
bris.
That's right.
That's that bris, exactly. That's the bris.
Okay, the rainbow is the bris. And what was the thing with the vavs? Why
Yes,
was
it says the bris.
The Doros is missing 2 vavs. Yeah. From there you
So-
learn that there are generations
Right.
when the rainbow will not show up, and he tells you 2 times when the rainbow didn't show up. With
each vav is connected one time that the rainbow doesn't show up?
Possibly. I didn't think about it. Might be.
Could be.
Not sure.
What's shot?
No, there was another, wasn't there another rabbi who
No,
was his eyes?
really, you have to ask yourself a question, how come it's not written properly? The
Right.
word is not written properly.
Right.
So the Torah is telling us, the Torah the Kabbalah that we have, it was written purposely lacking the vav, right, is because that's to tell us about generations where they didn't need the, you think each and every generation needs to have the rainbow? No, there was 2 generations that didn't need the rainbow.
Didn't need the rainbow.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
So, in the story, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is locked away in a cave.
Yes.
Okay? And back in the day, in this time period, people were buried in caves. Okay? And not only that, but they're literally up to their necks in dirt. They're literally buried in a way. They're buried, almost buried alive. But then we have this pasuk that says, people who are in Gehenna, they're only there for 12 months. They're there for 12 months. Isn't this basically saying that they're in Gehenna? They're basically dead in Gehenna, and this is a punishment, and means that, you know, they were wrong, you know.
Okay, the second time when they were told to go back, they were going, now, what the word says is as follows: they went out, they were destroying the world, the Baskol came, the proclamation from heaven came, what, you're coming out to destroy my world? Go back, right? So, is that a punishment or not? That we can try and understand, but Pashtus, the most basic understanding is they're just trying to prevent them from destroying the world, right? Go back into the cave and we'll save the world, okay? That's number one. Now, was it a punishment? So, from the Kol V'chomer that Rabbi Shimon made, he says, look, I think the pshat is, even if they were Rishoyim, I don't think, you can't say they were Rishoyim, because we see the Rashi here, they were tzaddikim, right? So they clearly weren't Rishoyim, right? But that doesn't mean even a tzaddik doesn't get a punishment if he needs to get a punishment, right? Right? So we haven't determined whether it's really a punishment or not. But, so he was raising his follow. Even the Rishoyim, the maximum amount of time they have to spend is 12 months, right? So if 12 months has come out, so we should be ready to come out by now, right? And we see that Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon, the son of Rabbi Shimon, didn't change. After 12 months, he didn't change. He was still going, burning up the world, right? Rabbi Shimon, right, had obviously understood because he was preparing everything that his son was destroying. But his son hadn't learned the method. Whatever lesson he was supposed to learn, he hadn't learned the lesson.
And I'm not sure we can use the word punishment.
Yeah.
That they learned there for 12 years and became so holy in that thing. I mean, if Torah is the primary concept what we have, then they were at their highest level, you can say, of where they were. And I don't think that that's a punishment. That they're learning 24/7 and they can handle the learning of 24/7. We today, I don't think we understand that, but that was they reached such a high top. Is that a punishment? I don't think so.
They reach such a high top that they're destroying the universe?
Because they can't understand that person cannot.
What level is that?
That's beyond what we can understand.
That's the same level we're on. We're
No, sir.
clueless.
They are not clueless. They are not clueless.
So what, they're just out of control?
No, they.
Let me give you an
They're
example.
just out of control?
I'll give you an example. Give you an example. What's the nicest thing that you like to cook? Your favorite dish?
Stuffed veal breast.
Okay, stuffed veal breast. Okay, great. I'm sure if you make it, I would be enjoying it. No doubt about it. Let's say you make it, put it on. All right, can I have some ketchup, please?
Okay.
I know somebody who would do that.
What does that? What does that
You
mean?
put the ketchup on me.
But what does that mean?
It means you
That
don't
he has no
understand. You don't understand what I just gave you.
That's right. That's a very good analogy.
That's a level.
But you have to understand.
You as a
when
chef. You as a chef.
Yeah, but you're telling me that these two guys are right next to Hashem, man. They're up there.
That's exactly why, and they want to protect
And they
his
want
Torah.
ketchup on their meat.
And they want to protect his Torah.
They
And-
are absolutely clueless.
No, they want to protect his
We don't want
Torah.
ketchup on the meat, not them. They're the chefs.
Let me explain to you. They want to protect Hashem's Torah. What is Hashem's Torah is? To learn 24/7. They were on such a level that they can understand that you can live on Torah 24/7. They couldn't understand that people couldn't understand that. And that's where they were. And that's why they were told to go back.
Does Hashem want us to live in a cave and learn Torah 24/7 and not interact with the world? Is that what he wants?
There are people who
Is
can do
that
that.
why
and there are
he
people
created
who can't.
fruits
There are
and the
people
mountains
who
and the
can do-
trees
No,
so that we could go into
no,
the
so-
cave and learn 24/7? You're telling me that's the top of the food chain for us? If
Let me
that's
ask
the
you-
case,
let me
there's
ask
a
you-
disconnect, and we're
Rabbi,
not getting
So
something.
first of all,
That can't be the top of the chain.
First of all, they didn't run into the cave
Because they wanted-
willingly. First
That's
of all,
right.
they went into a base medrash, right? They went into a base. That first, until the Gezerah came too hot for them, they went to a base medrash, right? They had no intention of going into a cave. They would probably have preferred not going to it. They were happy to come out of the cave, right? But they were disappointed in what they saw when they came out, because they had, after those 12 years of learning and understanding, they understood, had a very clear understanding of what this world is all about, right? How could a person take a moment out of there? How could a person, be free in Fort Knox to get all the gold he can in 24 hours? And how can a guy take a nap? Wouldn't you wake a guy up if you had a friend of yours who said 24 hours to take all the gold he can out of Fort Knox, and the guy's taking a nap, even a 10-minute nap, wouldn't you wake him up?
But nevertheless, Rabbi, I think you have to say that there was something lacking.
No, obviously
Some
you
level.
see,
We're
you
missing
see
something.
the fact that they were sent back into the cave,
Shows
right?
something
They see
lacking.
that they weren't. Well, again, we can understand it on very different levels. First and foremost, that they were destroying the world. For the sake of the world, they had to go back. They had to be sent back into the cave. Okay.
Right.
Now, what they were supposed to do with that extra time, all right? So we see Rabbi Shimon understood things differently than his son. His son was still in the same mode, so to speak, as it was 12 months before. He was still destroying the world. Rabbi Shimon was not. He was, and not only that, until they came and met the case, when they met the elder carrying the dasim on Erev Shabbos, he didn't say. It said the lashon of the Gemara is right that miyashvu daitayu. Both of their minds became settled. Meaning, even Rabbi Shimon was not happy with his understanding of what was going on with the world, right? But yet he was on the level that he could now at least repair what his son was still destroying, right? Right. So, see again, this is the whole very deep understanding we have to try and understand about what this world is all about. And this world is, as much as it seems that, and it's true that Hashem wants us to enjoy this world, and He's providing a lot of things in this world for our enjoyment, right? It's only, like we spoke about last week, it's only a prose door, like in our Avos it says, it's only an antechamber, it's only a hallway leading to the main ballroom, right? If you get stuck doing in the main, if a guy, that's even better, that if a guy has a dentist appointment, right? Guy has a dentist appointment. The doctor says, your appointment is at 12:30. And he's got so many nice things, it's air conditioned, and he's got nice Torah magazines there, he's got a nice computer, you can do things on the computer, and you're so busy with all those other things, you miss your appointment, and the doctor's going on vacation that afternoon, you're not going to be out for another 2 weeks. Well, what's going to be with your teeth, right? Okay. All the nice things in the waiting room are just to keep the patients, from going at each other's throat and going crazy, waiting for the time to pass, right? That's basically the same with this world. All the nice things in this world, and we shouldn't go crazy, right? Waiting for the time to pass. What are you going to do if this world was simply, like a jail cell, and you're supposed to do mitzvahs in a jail cell? Right? So we'd all go crazy. So you have all these other things to help us distract and pass the time nicely, right? With all kinds of different distractions that are fun and tasting good and enjoyable, right? But that's not supposed to be. You're not supposed to be devoting all your time to that. And if a person reaches a certain state of maturity, he's going to get up and out and beyond all of that, right? So seeing people being oisik, they're leaving their life in the next world, and they're being oisik in this world. Right? So Rabbi Shimon and his son had very difficult understanding that, dealing with that, coping with that, integrating that. Right? Even after 12 months, to integrate that fully was not complete. that integration was not complete. Right? So you see this guy putting ketchup on your veal and stuffing there, you know, like, you're not gonna burn you up.
You know, Rabbi Weinstock in London once talked about this, and he explained that after 120 years, it's not going to be the meals and all that. You're going to have to learn to sit and how to sit and learn. And if you don't practice and learn that here, next world, you're not going to be able to do it. And I think that's also how you put it into perspective. You sit, you know, learning is what's, and everything that we learned, the Rambam that we learned before, and for Yantav and all that, when he was talking about the reward and punishment, it wasn't. There's going to be meals, and you're going to have a cafeteria. It's all about learning and being on such an ecstatic level. And they were getting at that level.
And nevertheless, the first question that you get asked after 120 years is not, did you learn Torah?
It's honest.
Were you honest in business?
That's right. Because that's because obviously in this world you can't always be sitting and learning. You have a business, but you can do it. You can learn Torah through being honest in business, right? It's part of the Torah, right? You see a guy on the street and you give him charity.
But the point is, it's not only learning.
Has to be more.
It's not only
There has to be more. That's the whole chiddush about the cave. You're in there for 12 years and you come out and something's still not right. You got to go back. There's something. We're missing something.
That's right. They have to go back to.
There's got to be something more than 24/7.
They have to be able to balance exactly.
Because if God wanted it 24/7, He could have made it that way.
So the balance is that they went back to learn how to balance themselves.
Well, they still didn't get it.
No, the father did, the son did.
Okay, so
there's
there were
another
one for
story
two.
in the Gemara that I heard in the Shir. I forgot. I didn't write it down, so I forgot it. Of somebody asked him a question and at Rabbi Lazar, and that was where he learned on how to put that. I forgot where I heard that one.
Okay.
There was another after that.
Well, this topic for the next year, but maybe we're more